underneath your life situation? What? Huh? Is it like Oprah? Something under my chair? There's nothing there. Huh? What a load of nonsense. What a load of...
We have a problem in our household. Do you remember this plant? It was featured in this video. Well, this plant used to be flourishing, remember? Well, now look at it. It's not happy. So I need to perform an emergency pot transplant. I'm guessing the roots need more room to grow. So we're going to put it in a slightly bigger pot, hoping it gives it more space so the rest of it can flourish. Why don't you join me? Well, let's hope that works. That reminds me, I wanted to talk to you about something today. Let's go in the other room.
Hello everyone, how are you? Annie's Kizilbash here. A few months ago, a lovely subscriber asked me a question about spiritual growth. And at the time, I let it go because I didn't feel qualified to make a video on spiritual growth because, hello, I'm not an enlightened guru. I'm still learning. But then I kept getting these ideas to, well, maybe just share your practice, because I certainly have achieved some breakthroughs, and I know, looking back, I would have appreciated some advice. Maybe this will help. For those of you who don't care about spirituality, don't worry, just stop now. In the next few weeks, I've got some fab episodes for you on intermittent fasting. Strength training journey, 3 months are up. I want to share with you an update on that, building resilience. Come back later if you're not interested in spirituality.
Refer to my notes.
So here's what I'll cover. I'll share a little bit about my spiritual journey, 4 practices I currently do, along with a few book recommendations. What is spirituality? I think it's a deeply personal thing. It means something different to you as it would to me. So all I can do is share what it means to me.
That so sounds like a cop-out way of answering that question.
Instead of being concerned with the external world, the material things, physical things, thoughts and beliefs I would also put into that bucket. So it's about focusing on the internal and connecting to the root of what it means to be a human. Now, that does not mean reading more and gathering more knowledge and being more intellectual. In fact, it's the complete opposite of that. It's the absence of all of that, because these are all based on the material and the physical world. I feel a better, more experiential way of defining what spirituality means to me is if I share a snippet of my story. Show rather than tell. Okay, now this is the bit where I'm hoping the editor does a really smooth spiritual transition. Nailed it! I was raised religious, but not spiritual. Not terribly religious, but I strive to be a good person. In my teens, I was suicidal, depressed, eating disorders. 20s, eating disorders, depressed. The suicidal thoughts disappeared, but I no longer wanted to live. Done by 50. I was also materialistic. Shop a lot. My 30th birthday, I treated myself by going on a shopping spree in Milan. I'm not sharing that to brag, but to share how superficial I was. And I was in this job that it was like a treadmill. I had some friends, lovely friends, but I was mostly surrounded by toxic people who didn't have my best interests at heart. Deeply lonely and just didn't want to be on this earth anymore. 33, after a 3-day conference, I woke up feeling alive, excited, filled with joy. Everything was just clearer, crisper, brighter. The birds were singing. I felt taller, and I would meet everyone and look them in the eye. I was feeling alive, and it felt like this for 3 days. And on the 4th day, I started fading away a bit.
No! Come back!
At the end of the week, it had gone. And I thought, what on earth was it? How can I get that back? Signed on to the next level of that course, waiting for that feeling, and it didn't happen. And then I signed on to the next one as above that, spending more money with them, hoping to feel like that again, but it didn't. Now I am intentionally not mentioning the course because they led you to believe that it was them that made you feel that way, but it wasn't. So I was now searching for that feeling. Where was it? How can I get that back? So I asked myself, okay, when have I felt like that in the past? At a Michael Jackson concert. Pilgrimage too. Roller coaster rides. Okay, so these are the clues. What is it telling me? Then one day, on a flight from Beijing to Kuala Lumpur, I was engrossed in a book. And I finished the book. And then everything around me was just vivid. Feeling returned. Everything was just alive again. And I realized that was it. I was present. And that book was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The day I woke up on that Monday morning, I was fully present. I wasn't thinking. A 4-day course I took, I was listening the whole day, and unbeknownst to me, if you are truly listening, you're practicing listening, you have ceased thinking for a few days, fully in the moment. That's when I discovered spirituality. I no longer get depressed. One of the happiest people I know, and I'm so excited to live up to an 80, 90, 100 and go on magical adventures with my wife, Jen. Yeah, there she is! Hello! Say hello! Wave! And get this, I hardly ever go shopping. My wife has to force me to buy trainers, new clothes. I don't care for those things anymore. In a nutshell, essentially the way it's helped me, instead of being used by my mind, I use my mind. Being able to detach from the thoughts in my head. Before, I was the thoughts in my head. For some of you, this might sound like complete gobbledygook, and that's fine, because it just means you're not ready. And I'm not saying in a patronizing way, because I know I would not have been ready. I would have read a book like Power of Now, and it...
Finding the life underneath your life situation? What? Huh? Is it like Oprah? Something under my chair? There's nothing there. Huh? What a load of nonsense. What a load of...
The way we are raised, the culture, we're conditioned by the thoughts in our head. Eckhart Tolle calls it the ego, which is what I like to call it too, because when you've managed to separate, it's a very clear entity. It's this dark, destructive entity inside me that keeps wanting to rise, and whenever I'm upset or triggered, and it brings out the worst part of me. But managing to detach from the identity that I had, the identity of who I was, how I was raised, what my family did to me, all the stories that I told myself. I'm not enough, I can't get ahead, my parents messed me up, my parents didn't love me, I can't do anything because I was abused. The story goes on, and it was my identity. So I need to constantly practice to keep it at bay. So the way I see spirituality, it's deepening those roots, creating more space for them to grow deeper. So here are 4 things I do as a spiritual practice to help me grow spiritually. First is meditate. I do that to practice quietening the mind. It's like I do my strength training to build muscle. The meditation is developing muscle to be able to keep the thoughts at bay and to tame the thoughts. I've already made a video on how to quiet the mind during meditation, link below. Occasionally watch my thoughts. So I try and pepper my day with a practice like that, because the more I do that, the more it creates a separation from my thoughts. And a book I recommend, Eckhart Tolle, The New Earth and Power of Now. Another book I like reading, which Jen introduced to me, is I Am That. He's an enlightened guru, but people would come and ask him questions. It's literally a transcript of the conversation. I'll read through that every now and then. It's nice just to get reminders. I'm watching my judgments, when I would judge myself or when I judge other people.
Oh my god, my hair! Ugh! Anise, come on! Sort your hair out! Stupid loose hair ends over there. Bully in the moment. Liar! Are you talking about me? Are you talking about me? You best not be talking about me. I know you're not talking about me.
Watch for what my judgments, try to catch it and just try and stop it, because that's one thing I don't like about myself, judgy. A book I recommend for that is 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. He has this principle about being impeccable with your word. Now this is going to sound really morbid, but I contemplate death, not I can't wait to die or I want to die. I love life now and I'm in no hurry to die, but thinking about death helps me prioritize what matters. When you lose someone really close to you, you start thinking about your mortality. It helps you keep things in perspective and to focus on what really matters. And also it makes you think about what's meaningful to you as a human being and what does matter. Let me share with you an example. Kobe Bryant died early this year. He was an NBA basketball player, one of the all-time greats. Just have a look at what people said when he passed away.
He was great, charismatic, among the hardest working athletes ever, but what impressed me most was how deeply involved Kobe was with his daughters. Extraordinary athlete, genuinely kind, wonderful person. Kobe had a big heart and an even bigger love for the community of Los Angeles. He was a father, husband, incredible athlete, and one of the kindest guests. Always positive, thoughtful, supportive, reliable, and bright. One of the brightest souls I've ever seen. A magnificent athlete who inspired a whole generation of basketball players, but I'll remember him as a man who was more than an athlete.
The outpouring of love for Kobe Bryant didn't mention how many social media followers, NBA titles, how much money, how many cars, how big his house. It didn't mention any of material things. It mentioned who he was as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a team member. It mentioned things about the person's character, and that's what matters. We get caught up in what I called Instagram values, things that you can take pictures of and brag about to people. But what really matters are virtues that people will say at a eulogy. So eulogy virtues. So contemplating death brings these to the forefront. Stop focusing on Instagram values and focus on eulogy virtues. Am I being a good wife? Am I being of service to you? A good neighbor? Am I being a good mother? Some book recommendations. Tuesdays with Maury, When Breath Becomes Air. Those are my spiritual practices at the moment. So if you found this useful, please let me know. If anything was unclear, please let me know. Perhaps maybe I'll do another follow-up video, yeah? Thanks for watching, really grateful. I always appreciate your time. I'm Anise Kizelbash, signing out for now. See you in another video.
One more take, please. Whiskey, please, one more take. Come here, please. Whiskey, whiskey. Come to mama. Come on. Good girl. Good girl.